When the Bible speaks, that is God speaking, not a man. Now, it's true, Moses wrote the first 5 books, but it wasn't really Moses writing it. God was having him write it, and it was God writing it, but that was really inspired. And then when we come to prophets like Isaiah, Jeremiah, Ezekiel, then when we come to the New Testament books, God inspired them. They are the infallible words of God. This book is not. I don't make any such claim for this book whatsoever. But I think in a way God inspired it, but not in the sense that it is the Word of God. It's as God inspired Herbert Armstrong. And I tried to yield myself to him, and I hope I was able to yield myself, if not 100%, 97, 98, 99%. The Bible is like a book that had been sort of cut up into about 2,000 or 3,000 pieces, and you have to get them all put together in the right order, or you can't understand them. This book puts them together. And yet this book is only a synopsis. You could say it's the gist of the Bible. The synopsis. It doesn't cover all of it, but it covers the main thread of the Bible so you can understand the Bible and understand the other details when you read them in the Bible. It'll open up the Bible so that you understand it. That's what it is for.
"40 years ago, in 1985, Herbert W. Armstrong finished writing his greatest work, a book that was the culmination of his nearly 50-year ministry of preaching the gospel message. That book, Mystery of the Ages, helped readers understand the Bible as no other work could. Mr. Armstrong mentions he was working on Mystery of the Ages in a letter dated March 11, 1985. For the past 3 months, he wrote, I have been hard at work on a new book, the largest and most important book since the Bible. Just 2 months after that letter, while visiting Jerusalem, Mr. Armstrong finished writing Mystery of the Ages. After finishing the book, Mr. Armstrong joined Jerusalem Mayor Teddy Kollek as his guest at a restaurant in Jerusalem. During the visit, Mayor Kollek presented Mr. Armstrong with a gift, a sculpture of David and Goliath. After learning that Mr. Armstrong had completed his book, Mystery of the Ages, the mayor said that Jerusalem certainly was a fitting place to finish his work. The nearly 400-page Mystery of the Ages went to press in July of that year. Hundreds of thousands of readers waited in anticipation for the publication of this monumental book. On September 9, 1985, the 93-year-old Mr. Armstrong, nearly brought to tears, presented copies of Mystery of the Ages to the sophomore class at Ambassador College.
God is such a great God when you come to really know Him and who and what He is and how real He is. And I want to say that you need to read every word and you need to go over it more than once. You aren't going to get the full meat of this book in one reading. This is a book that after you've read it, you can read it a second time and then later a third time. This book is not intended to take the place of the Bible. It's intended to make it so that you will understand the Bible. You must read the Bible with it. And this is to make the Bible clear and understanding to you as you read it, and bring its meaning out as you never saw it before. And I hope it'll be a blessing to you. I hope you will enjoy it. It'll give you great happiness and enjoyment. I hope you'll enjoy reading it. And I hope more than any other book you've ever read except the Bible. And perhaps in a sense, this makes even the Bible more clear and plain, and you'll enjoy the Bible more from now on. Will you forgive me if I get a little bit of thrill that this was then done? This book is out now. Today is a pretty big day in my life when I can hand the copies of this book out to each of you.
In a coworker letter just a few days after presenting Mystery of the Ages, Mr. Armstrong offered his new book to hundreds of thousands of followers. Since last December, he wrote, I have been working diligently on the largest and most important book of my life. In real fact, I feel I myself did not write it. Rather, I believe God used me in writing it. I candidly feel it may be the most important book since the Bible. It is named Mystery of the Ages. Actually, it might be called a synopsis of the Bible in the most plain and understandable language. But first, before I tell you more about it, let me say I am overjoyed to be able to send you one of the very first copies off the press, hardbound, in gratitude for your cooperation and financial support of this wonderful work of the great God. Further on in that letter, Mr. Armstrong stated his goal for the book. We want to reach the largest audience possible with this book, he wrote. I know you will feel the same way when you read it. The largest audience possible, that was the battle cry, the call to action for members of the Worldwide Church of God. By the end of December 1985, there were over 740,000 requests for copies of Mystery of the Ages, the largest response in such a short period for any of Mr. Armstrong's books. On January 16, 1986, Mr. Armstrong died. The responsibility of getting Mystery of the Ages to the largest audience possible would fall on the shoulders of his successor. 10 days later, on January 26th, the World Tomorrow program was a memorial tribute to Mr. Armstrong. That show drew an additional 100,000 requests for Mystery of the Ages.
This undoubtedly is one of the most sobering occasions that we will experience in a lifetime. I'm sure we all dearly loved Mr. Armstrong. We are a product of his dedication and his service for all of these years, especially the last 53 years that he has dedicated himself to serving the great and living God. This is not a time, although it is sobering, but not a time for great grief, as those who are without knowledge or understanding the purpose of life and death. But we can rejoice knowing that Mr. Armstrong died in the faith, doing the work that God has called him to accomplish. Even in the last year of his life, with declining strength, he completed probably the greatest work that he has accomplished in the book, The Mystery of the Ages.
Shockingly, not long after Mr. Armstrong's death, his successor and his fellows decided Mystery of the Ages was riddled with error. They soon changed the commission of the work, transformed doctrines, and began dismantling Mr. Armstrong's legacy. Within just a couple years, Mystery of the Ages wasn't just out of print. Copies of it were being destroyed by the very organization Mr. Armstrong built. About a decade later, a former minister of the Worldwide Church of God, a minister who was fired from the WCG for remaining loyal to Mr. Armstrong, decided to begin printing Mystery of the Ages. Gerald Fleury's goal was to follow Mr. Armstrong's directive to get this book to the largest audience possible. Towards the end of 1996, Mr. Fleury began publishing copies of Mystery of the Ages. On January 4, 1997, he announced to the Philadelphia Church of God membership that Mr. Armstrong's greatest work would once again be made available for free.
I want to talk to you about something very special. I don't think you've seen this yet, maybe a couple of you have. This is the Mystery of the Ages, our version of it, the one that we just printed. And I think you can see that's a pretty thick book. And it's nice, big print, so just I think about anybody can read it. We have also, if you've probably noticed, if you've gotten the Trumpet, those of you listening on tape, will get it this next week, I'm sure, or some of you will. But we have advertised Mystery of the Ages on the back of the Trumpet. In this ad on the Trumpet, it says, "Time may prove this to be the most important book written in almost 1900 years." Now, if you think about that, and if it is the most important book that's been written in almost 1900 years, then you would think that it is something that we ought to give to the world. Think about that. The most important book since the Bible, that's really what Mr. Armstrong is saying, and the Philadelphia Church of God is the only church today that follows in Mr. Armstrong's footsteps. Do I fear getting in trouble over printing the Mystery of the Ages? No, I don't. I fear getting in trouble if I don't.
Almost immediately, the Worldwide Church of God took action to prevent Mr. Fleury and the Philadelphia Church of God from publishing Mystery of the Ages. In his book, Transformed by Truth, Joseph Tkach Jr., who succeeded his father as leader of the WCG, said it was their Christian duty to keep Mystery of the Ages out of print. For 6 grueling years, the Philadelphia Church of God battled in court to win the copyrights to Mystery of the Ages. In the end, victory.
The court case is officially over, and so I wanted to explain this to you in as much detail as I can today. I feel that we've just won the greatest victory we ever have won in the PCG, and perhaps the greatest we ever will win as a collective body. And I can tell you now, brethren, that we not only have fair use for all of the 19 works, but we own the copyrights of all of those works, just like Mr. Armstrong did. Thank you. After 6 years, I can appreciate that applause.
Today, the Philadelphia Church of God owns the copyright of Mystery of the Ages and many other publications by Mr. Armstrong. These works are made available for free, just as Mr. Armstrong offered them for free. Our goal is to pick up where Mr. Armstrong left off, to get this book to the largest audience possible. To request your very own free copy of Mystery of the Ages, follow the order information on your screen. If you'd like to read more details about the dramatic court battle to obtain the copyright to Mystery of the Ages, request our free book, Raising the Ruins.